I'm sure you've heard tons about getting a handle on your money, becoming debt-free, and that's probably why you searched this video, honestly. But what happens when you're just trying to catch up? Okay, so you want to start your budget, you want to get on this debt-free journey, but you still need to catch up on some old past bills that you had or being behind on bills. What do you do in that case? While some people are focused on becoming debt-free, what if you're just trying to get a handle on your money? You're just trying to catch up and get a bit more organized. How did you start your budgeting journey then? So today, we're not going to focus on becoming debt-free necessarily, which that is a long-term goal that should be set and can be achieved. But right now, we're going to talk about the beginning. How do you start your budget if you're already behind on bills? And if that's your question, I'm going to have some specific examples that I'm going to give you that can show you possibly what you can do. I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm going to give you some strategies that you can try to apply to your personal budgeting situation and hopefully get you off to a fresh start. And if that sounds like something that interests you, then let's get right into it. Before we get started on some of the strategies about starting your budget when you're behind, I do want to discuss the We Are the Stars challenge. If you're a returning subscriber and you're here to see who will be winning the giveaway for this video, it will be posted at the end of this video. So there are 4 things that you'll need to think about, and possibly a 5th one, when trying to get a handle on your past due bills and get going on your budgeting journey. So before we get started on some of the tips or strategies that I'm going to give you to apply to your budget, let me first give you a little background story about myself. I've said it before in one of my most popular How to Start Your Budget videos. I'll link it right up here. In that video, I talked about how I've not always been the best with money. And, that takes some vulnerability to even speak that, but it's true. I was big on just swiping my card and spending money as it came and not even having any type of structure or budget in place to say where my money would be going. Instead, I kind of just haphazardly spent. And then when the end of the month came and I realized something hadn't been paid, I had to rob Peter to pay Paul. So when we're talking about starting from somewhere where you're already behind, trust me, I have been there. Okay. And that's going to lead into the talking point number 5 that we'll talk about later as to how I got out of it. I'll bring more of my personal story in at that time. For now, though, let's get back to your budget. The very first thing that you'll need to do is have an honest number of what's coming in and out in your household. And you're going to have to take an honest, hard look at your spending and maybe write it all out on a piece of paper. Okay, so we're going to be writing out things like rent or mortgage, as well as all of our utility bills. We're going to write out things like gas for our car payment, car insurance, any monthly subscription fees we have, as well as any flexible spending you have, which would be things like groceries, fast food, if you spend money on makeup or clothes, if you spend any money going out on the weekends. All of those things are flexible, but you need to look back on your bank statements and find out a ballpark average of what you've been spending over the past maybe 2 to 3 months, okay? So what you can do in order to do this is get your bank statement and highlight in certain colors each particular category and then add up those categories to kind of see where you've been. If you know where you've been, then you know where you're headed, right? You're going to use those dollar amounts off of your bank statement to come up with an average as to how much you've been spending, so you'll have an honest number of what you've actually been spending every single month. I know for me, when I first started my budget, I did this just in regards to food costs because I'm a true foodie. And so I added up all of my grocery spending as well as all of my fast food spending, and I was shocked that it was over $1,100 a month just on food alone. And I called myself being very conservative. And if you would have asked me how much I spent on groceries, I probably would have said about $500 a month. So that's where going back and looking at your bank statement to get an honest number can help. The other thing you need to do is track all your money coming in. Now, this part's a little easier to do, but it is still important. Some of the things you want to consider when you're tracking all of the money coming in is how much you've actually earned over the past months if you have variable income. Okay, so you would then again look back on your statements and try to figure out how much money you've had over the past few months coming in and get a good strong average of how much you make every month. Also, If you do work overtime or extra hours, I would suggest that you budget without that money included. Just budget on your base pay, because any overtime can be put towards some of those back bills that we're talking about, right? So don't include that in. If you can, try to make it so that you can live without the overtime money, and the overtime money can be extra for you to spend towards other things, or later down the road, incorporate it into your budget and put it into sinking funds, savings challenges, or cash stuffings, okay? Now, the difference between these two numbers, the honest money going out and the honest amount coming in, is going to tell you your next step. If there's no extra and you figure out during starting your budget and looking at all of your bank statements that you're actually spending more than what you're bringing in, then it's time to start cutting some expenses and looking really truly hard at what type of subscriptions can you let go of. Can you cut back on some of your flexible spending, which means not shopping as much, spending less at the grocery store, and maybe coming up with a meal plan so you'll have a structured, organized budget for the grocery store and therefore spending less there. Maybe just eating out less might actually take up some of the slack. But yeah, if you're spending more than what you're bringing in, then it's time to make some adjustments. And this is where you'll have to look really hard at your budget and find out some things that you can sacrifice. The other thing you can do is look into bringing in more income. Might be starting some type of side hustle like gig work. You know, there's tons now, Uber, Instacart. So doing something like that temporarily, or it might be working overtime at your job if that's available. It might be looking into getting a roommate or splitting costs with someone. Selling old items on Facebook. A lot of people have been selling on Facebook, Macari, Poshmark, and they've been making some money from that. Now, if the money coming in is less than the money going out, and you do either track expenses and are able to cut some of your expenses or bring in extra income, or best yet, a combination of the two, then yeah, you're on track to be able to catch up on your bills as well as create a solid budget. But remember, most of these changes, if there is a variance where you're bringing in less than what you're actually spending, these are going to be more long-term changes, so think about that as you're making some of the changes. Okay, now for the opposite situation, where you're actually bringing in more than you're spending each month, then where's your money going? That's where a good, strong budget will come in, because it'll tell you where every dollar's going. And if you think about it, you might still have to make some of those sacrifices as the other group, right? You might have to cut some of your spending, some of your dining out, some of your weekend fun. And these would just be temporary fixes that you would need to do in order to get on top of some of your past due bills. Regardless which group you fall in, just know that we need to move on to step 2, because you're going to need a good, strong game plan as to how you're going to execute what it is we've been talking about. So let's get into the game plan portion of catching up on past due bills. So in just a minute, we're going to draft a couple of sample budgets, and I'm just going to make up some numbers if you are past due, and this is what I would do in order to pay this first or that first. But let's first think about a game plan. Any extra money that you have should be going towards the past due amounts. And this is just to help you catch up. This is just a temporary thing, because once you're caught up, you should be able to maintain if you're bringing in more than what you're putting out, right? One thing I did when I was behind, I contacted all of my utility bills and asked for a flat rate service. And the reason why I asked for flat rate bills, not the kind that settle at the end of the year, but just if they had a flat rate that they can give me every single month. And the reason why I did that is so that I would have a structured number that I would be able to budget for every single month for my utility bills. And some of them weren't able to do it, like my water department. And honestly, the one for the electric department was just so high that I didn't get on flat rate, but I did do it for my gas bill, and I felt like it helped me have a little bit more structure in my budget. That's something that you can do. Next, you want to take inventory of all of your past due bills. And this is where you got to be real with yourself, okay? So you want to take responsibility for anything that you're past due on and actually write it down on a piece of paper. So let's say your electric bill is due for a disconnection notice in 3 days. That's going to be high priority. Like, we need electricity in our homes, right? So that's something that has to be paid. And when you do your first budget, you would have to include that past due amount. There's just no way around it. The only other thing you can do is call and ask for an extension from the electrical company and see if they can push it off so that you can then incorporate it a little bit more later down the line. But overall, this is a priority type of bill that's behind, and so that has to be paid and incorporated into a budget right away. Now, there's some other type of past due bills that aren't necessarily priority. If it's an essential item like a car insurance, any of your utilities, your home, if you have an eviction notice coming, you have to get that taken care of right away. So that's going to be in the forefront of your budget when we first start your first budget, right? But if it's something else that's not like essential to living and it's something that you're past due on, it might have to be taken on the back seat until we can catch up on these essential bills first. And trust me, this is going to take some time. There's no way that it took you all these years to get behind for it to just catch up in one pay period. This is going to be like 2 to 3 months worth of work, 2 to 3 months worth of discipline, 2 to 3 months worth of cutting back on a lot of non-essential things like fast food and clothing hauls and, makeup or whatever it is that you splurge on. Because I was splurging on travel and I really had to cut down on some traveling until I got a handle on my bills. So whatever it is that you're splurging on, you might have to cut back on that for the next couple of months. Or, like I said, find another way to bring more income in so you can continue the lifestyle you have. But any extra money you can find, whether it's cutting your expenses or increasing your income, that money should all be going towards your past due balances. Now it's time to actually draft the budget. I'm going to turn you guys around to my desk and we're going to actually work out a budget with some past due balances. And I can show you how I would probably prioritize certain things over others. Now, all of this information is not going to apply to you. So you're going to have to take a hard look at your situation and apply some of the information that you've heard here and see what changes, subtle changes you can make to tweak your budget to make it best for you. Okay? So let me go ahead and turn you guys around and we'll get started. All right, now that we have an idea of what information we need in order to craft a budget and actually see what it is we're going to be paying, let's use one of the Easy Cash Budget weekly planners. You can use whatever planner you'd like. These planners are very affordable. I offer them on Amazon. I'll put a link above which will give you an idea of all of the planners that I've created. They are based on your pay period and there are some savings challenge planners as well, all offered on Amazon. So if you're not paid weekly, you don't have to necessarily use this weekly planner. There are bi-weekly or monthly planners you can use, okay? But for right now, we're gonna craft a budget for a weekly budgeter. So I'm gonna turn towards the back of the book because this is actually my budget planner that I use all the time. But we'll turn towards the back of the book. All right, so I've crafted plenty of budgets before. I put an eye in the sky for a monthly budget video with me because I do a monthly budget every time, okay? What you're really going to be focusing on is your monthly budget. If you want to know how to break it down from a monthly budget per pay period, then I'll link another video up here that talks about how to budget per pay period. Now, what I would first suggest if you're trying to catch up on bills is that you create a good, strong monthly budget. That'll tell you how much extra you have to put out every single month. And from there, you can break down those amounts per pay period to make sure you have accounted for everything that was in your monthly budget. Now, when drafting a monthly budget, we're going to make sure that we pay everything we have to pay first and anything else can be paid secondary, okay? We're not going to focus on cash stuffing, sinking funds, or even putting money towards savings right at this moment. That might sound a little controversial to some because I know Dave Ramsey has an idea that you have to have $1,000 emergency fund out there and so you should be saving while you're catching up. But I'm talking about when you're so behind that you're just trying to keep your head above water until you implement some of those either extra income strategies or cutting some of your expenses. You're not going to have the extra to save just yet. It will come though. And that's the thing. All you have to do is stay consistent and extra money will show up. Now, if you need a very detailed step-by-step on how to start a budget, I'm going to reference you back to my original budgeting video. It's about 45 minutes long and it explains the whole cash budgeting system, what 5 pieces of information you need in order to draft up your budget. And we're touching on a lot of those here, but I would like you to go back and look at that video and you would understand a lot of these terms that I'm talking about here within the budget. I will say, I feel like if you're behind on bills, a cash budgeting system will be beneficial for you. At least it was for me. I think there's something about having the physical bills in your hand that help you to realize how much you're spending. If you go to Dairy Queen and you have in your fast food little cash envelope only $20 and what you've ordered, your Blizzard, let's say, costs $5.80. When they give you back your change of $14.20, you know this is all you have left to spend until you get paid again. Versus whenever you're swiping your card, you can haphazardly just swipe and you won't even realize how much you're spending until you sit down and actually highlight through your bank statement and get a tally on what it is you've spent. For me, the cash budgeting gives me something physical in my hand, and I can see as it's disappearing that I'm possibly spending too much or I just don't have any more to spend. All right, so let's do a sample monthly budget for Sally. Sally from the Valley, okay? Sally, I'm just gonna make up some numbers, but let's just say Sally's income for the month is $2,500. Now this isn't taking into account any overtime she would get. This is just her base pay of what she typically gets for her month, okay? Okay, so let's say that in her honest look back on her bills, she's now calculated from her bank statements how much she typically spends each month and how much she spends on bills. For rent, she pays $850. Gas for her house or her apartment, she pays $40. Electric, she pays about $60. Now these are variable, but she did contact her bill companies to see if she can get on flat rates, and both of these are her new flat rate amounts. Congrats, Sally from the Valley. Okay, and then she has her car payment, which is only $190 because she put a large down payment. She has car insurance, and that is going to be $60. She has a water bill that she has to pay. Water and trash go together for her apartments, and that's $30. She has cable that she still has for $70. She has Netflix because she loves Stranger Things, and that's $10. She has Disney Plus, and that's $17 a month. And that's all for her monthly expenses. So let's go ahead and add up and see how much her monthly expenses are. We have $850 plus $40 plus $60, $190, $60, $30, $70, $10, and $17. Okay, so that only totals $1,327 per month. And when we take the $2,500 she makes for the month minus the $1,327, that equals $1,173, okay? Now, as far as her cash envelopes, she spends groceries. She added up her bank statements and realizes on groceries she spends about $260 a month. She has fast food, which for fast food, that's where, and dining out, that's where she spends the most of her money, and it's about $400 a month. She also spends money on the weekends, which is just going out with girlfriends, and that ends up being about $250 a month. She spends money on hair and clothes, and that's about $100 a month. And then she spends money on gas for her car, and that's only about $120 per month. So when we add all of these categories up, 260 plus 400 plus 250 plus 100 plus 120, that is $1,130. Uh-oh. All right, and so if we take the $1,173 that we had minus the $1,130, she really only has $43 left. And so from doing her monthly budget, Sally now sees that she needs to cut some of her variable expenses, okay? So she's now agreed, because she does have some past due utility bills. So her electric, for instance, is past due, as well as her gas. Even though they allowed her on flat rate bills, she has extensions for them. So she's now, for this next month, going to cut down her fast food spending. And instead of 400, hold on, let me white it out. All right, so instead of 400 for fast food, she's agreed to put herself on $100. She gets $25 per week to hit Starbucks and whatever else she needs to do. That's all she has for the week. And as far as her weekend money, she decided in spending, instead of going out every weekend with the girls and spending about $75, she would instead only spend $50 every other week, which will be $100. Okay, so she's found some way to cut her expenses. She's also decided that now she can work a little bit of overtime, and so she's going to see if she can pick up an overtime shift and that will bring her an extra $300. So now instead of having $2,500 income, she has $2,800 income for the month because she's restructured on trying to get herself caught up. And instead of having $1,173 left, after she does her $2,800 minus $1,327, she'll have $1,473 left. And now when she adds up all of her cash envelope spending that she's planning on doing this month, she'll have $260 plus $100, $100, $100, and $120. That will be $680. And now she'll have $1,473 minus $680, which is $793. Now, if you can find an extra $800 in your budget, then I would say put some towards savings, even if it's only a little bit, maybe $100. And now she has $693 left to catch up on past due bills, whether these are credit cards that she needs to pay off, whether these are past due electric bills or gas bills that are past due. And I didn't even account for a cell phone. Let's say she had a cell phone as well. I forgot about that. So any of these amounts, she would then take that $693 and divvy it up as to what she wants to pay for these past due amounts. So if her electricity is one of her essential bills and there's a possibility it can get cut off because she needs to pay, instead of $60 for this month, she needs to pay an additional $60 for last month as well, then accommodate for that. And for the gas, instead of paying $40, maybe she owed 2 months previous, so she needs to pay an extra $80, then account for that. For the cell phone bill, I didn't even put it in, but let's just say it's $40. And credit cards, let's say she had, 5 different credit cards that she needs to put money into, then we'll put extra money into that. And let's say she's going to put $200 there. So now this is the extra amount that will be coming out of the $693. So if we had 200 plus 60 plus 80 plus 40, that's only $380, which would leave her some money to start sinking funds and start to save for future things that she needs to pay, like her car registration or Christmas spending, things like that. And if she's already caught up on everything after 1 month, then we already know this is the month she just needs to hit it hard, cut back on her fast food, cut back on her weekend fun, and work some extra overtime. So we're putting every effort we have into getting on track. But sometimes it doesn't work out where just 1 month works, and that's okay. We start over in the next month and try to find ways to bring in extra income, try to find ways to cut expenses, and put the extra towards whatever it is that's behind until we're all caught up. And then you can make a general monthly budget where you'll be able to see how much you can save every month, how much you can put into sinking funds, how much you can put into savings challenges. But all that comes once you've caught up on the bills that you're behind on. There's some last information I want to leave you with when you're starting your budgeting journey and you're already behind on bills, and just some things to remember. The first is remember your why. If you can remember why you wanted to start this journey, whether it was too many NSF fees, whether it was disconnect notices coming to the house and you struggling to pay, whether it was car repairs that you needed to come up with the money for and you don't know how you're going to do it, whatever it is, remember your why. Because if you can do that, you can probably keep the momentum going for a month or two and allow yourself to catch up. It's going to take some work. It's not going to be easy. I like to compare starting a journey for your budget and your finances to starting a diet. I'll never forget that on The Biggest Loser, Susie Orman, who's a huge financial coach, came on there and she said that she could tell who was going to win The Biggest Loser just by looking at their credit scores. What? That always stumped me. But what she said after it stuck with me, which was the reason she could tell is because the people that were disciplined with their finances also could be disciplined with their diet. And discipline runs across many areas of your life, right? So it's still a balance for me. I'm on a diet right now, okay? So it's definitely a balance for me, and I'm trying to find how to be disciplined more so along on my journey. Discipline doesn't mean that you don't give yourself spending money or that you're lacking for anything. It means that you've accounted for it and you've already budgeted for it, and therefore it gives you the freedom to be able to spend it on what it is you want to spend, but responsibly when you have the money. So if you're starting to feel like this is getting too overwhelming with you having to cut things back or think about ways to make extra income, and so you just want to give up on yourself, don't, because you can master this. A budget will help you plan, organize, track, and improve your finances. And soon you'll have room in your budget to save and spend on the things that you enjoy without guilt. It just starts with a bit of discipline, and I know that you can do it. The last thing I wanted to leave you with was one thing that helped me during the start of my journey, and that was having an accountability partner. Now, my accountability partner happened to be my mom. And she was already well into her budgeting journey. She understood exactly how to set up a budget and how to catch up. So these basic principles that I'm talking to you about, she already understood them. And so I had to be honest and bring all of my spending to her. And her and I crafted a budget together. When I first started, she helped me to get on track. And I remember she would tell me, like, for this next pay period, you're probably going to need about $1,400 to pay everything and catch up on this past payment. We kind of would talk about it as a team before my payday came. And sometimes I had to get out there and hustle and pick up an extra nursing shift to make it work. But I caught up, and it probably took me about 2 months to do so. And having her to be accountable to was a great help. So if you can find someone that you trust, that you can share your financial information with, even if it's just your spouse, then you'll have that accountability partner that'll help you to go farther even faster. Okay? I think that's all the tips that I have on how to start your budget if you're already behind on bills. The most important step is to just start. Now let's get into the We Are the Stars challenge. Hold on, let me get my computer. There's definitely some things about this challenge that I did not think through. And that is because right now, I'm not pulling any money out of my cash envelopes in order to stuff this challenge. I refuse. So I'll be stuffing whatever it is that needs to be stuffed in this challenge on my next cash stuffing video. But we are going to write it down on the We Are the Stars tracker. Okay? So hold on. Let's see. First things first, let me explain what the We Are the Stars challenge is. You would first go down below in my description bar and click the link, and you could print off a free PDF. So there's a colored version and a black and white. There are 3 per page. You can use this challenge for other things if you want to. So this is also a free savings challenge if you're looking for a savings challenge to just help you to be able to save more. But what you do is you choose a multiplier, because what we're going to be doing is multiplying this multiplier times however many comments we get on a video. So the last video that I received, we're going to multiply my multiplier, which is 10 cents times how many comments we have. And that dollar amount gets written inside one of the stars. And that's the amount that we save for this video, okay? Now, the second part of this savings challenge is that I am picking a winner out of the comment section every single video and offering them a $10 gift card. If you want to be considered for the $10 gift card, the only thing you need to do is leave a comment in this video by the time I release my next video, okay? Because next video, I'll be using this video's comments to pick a $10 gift card winner. And then I write the person's name who's the winner underneath the star. And at the end, all 12 winners are going to be put into a raffle to see who's going to win the grand prize of a $50 gift card. So super easy to enter for the giveaway and the savings challenge. If you want to save right alongside me, just print the PDF down below in the description, pick your multiplier, and come back so you can figure out how much comments we had in the previous video. All right, so now that we explained all that, let's go ahead and pick a winner for today's video. All right, in order to pick a winner, I go here to TubeBuddy once I get to my YouTube studio, and then I click pick a winner, and that's on the last video. That was a week 3 budget and cash stuff, and you can always take a look back at that if you didn't see it. So I'm just gonna click choose from all comments because there's no particular comment you have to have in order to win. And let's pick a winner and see who won. Oh my gosh, Rose Budget Life. You guys check out her channel. She is one of the real ones, okay? Always here, notification gang in the building. Like, this is her. So I am so excited to see row 1. She said, Salisa, if I hit a skip or double, I will skip. Meanwhile, Scratch a skip a double, then doubled it. Love it. That's me. Because I'm always saying I'm going to skip, but then I can't just stand it. So I go ahead and double it. Anyway, Ro, you have won the $10 gift card for this video. And we are the stars. Let me update the tracker really quick so I can remember to put the money in. Let's see how much we actually need to put in. There was 394 comments. So that means, let me get my calculator, $39.40. I'm just gonna put an even $40 for this particular week's video. Let me write it in my tracker. Okay, so I have my budget binder. Hold on, let me get this out of the way. This is my cash savings challenge binder. So I'm doing a lot of savings right now. So let's see. All right, so far we've had I Desire Wealth, and that's Desiree. We saved $19 that day with the 10-cent multiplier. And then we have Gina Smith, and that was a $40 savings. And then we had SSAP4. That's her name, SSAP4. I was saying SSAPP4. I had it all wrong last time. We saved $43. Okay, so for this video, it's going to be Rose Budget Life. And we're going to be saving $40. So Ro, congratulations, girlfriend. I put your name down here, and I'll be saving this $40 when I get to my next cash stuffing, which will be coming out very shortly. All right, if you guys made it all the way to the end of this video, leave me one single emoji right here, letting me know you're a real one. And if you like the video, please don't forget to hit the like button because it helps this video to be suggested to other people who might be interested in starting their cash budgeting journey, but they're behind on bills. It might give them some ideas and suggestions. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing and joining the fam. Yeah, we have fun over here. I'd love for you to hit the notification bell so you'll be notified every time I upload a video as well. And then don't forget, leave your comment down below so you can be considered for the We Are the Stars giveaway on the next video. All right, you guys, I think that is everything. I appreciate you for being here with me today. I will see you very shortly. Take care.